Okay, I'm not sure if people will reach the lightning and lasers assignment while I am away, but I want to make sure there's a video that walks you through the whole thing. So for this project, we want to open up 5 files. First and foremost, the first one here, cannon and cow. This picture is 100% legit. In November 2010, this is right near on the Antietam battlefield, right near the big stone tower. I don't know why they were grazing cows right by a cannon, but they were. About a year and a half ago, I did a tour organized by a historical foundation down in Maryland of the farms around the Antietam battlefield. That farm in the background there with the white barn, it's called the Piper Farm, and when we visited it, I burst out laughing and could not explain why. Why? You will see at the end of this project. We also want to get surprise bearded mannequin. We are definitely going to use those eyes at some point. We are probably going to use that beard. You may have wondered why we have surprise Spongebob and surprise Patrick in this unit materials folder. This is the chance where you'll see, this is the first chance you'll have to use them. And last one I added in last year, the traumatized chonker. That is a very large cat, and he has seen some horrible, horrible things looking at his face. Very first thing we do, though, is we're going to add a new layer. So we want to go to File, New. It's going to ask us about pixel size. Change that to inches. We want to make a 7-inch width and a 5-inch height. And fill with orange because that's my background color. I'm going to set the colors to black and white right here for a moment. You click on the little black-white square there at the bottom of the toolbar. And I'm going to go ahead and fill the whole project with black. So go to Edit, Fill with Foreground Color. That's black now. Next, I'll choose Rectangular Select, and you want to anchor your rectangular selection on one side. It can be left or right. Doesn't matter which. But it's got to be anchored right against one side and be a fairly long rectangle. That selection we are going to fill with white. So Edit, Fill with Background Color. We got it. Hit Shift Control A, to deselect everything. Now we want to blur this. So we want to go to Filter, Blur, and we're going to choose Gaussian Blur. The basic blur there, you'll see it's linked on both the X and Y axis, and it's set at 1.5. That's crazy low for what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is we're making a laser beam. So we want to actually jack that up somewhere in the 20s or 30s. I can make that work like that. Everything there is all set. Click OK. And now we have that. Next thing we'll do, and I have to move my head here for a moment because it's really in the way, we're going to add a new layer. Keep this window open. Don't just click OK. You want to name this laser color. And then the mode, you want to change to overlay. Click OK, and we got our layer there. Now we want to fill this with blue. So we'll go to our black square right here. We'll double click on it, and we'll use slider bar to find blue, and we'll choose a shade that works. I think that's going to work right there for a nice blue. So we'll click OK, then go to Edit, Fill with Foreground Color. It's coming along nicely. You want to go down to the background layer next. We're going to use Fuzzy Select to select the whole black area, and similar to what we did before, instead of trying to select something itself that's a lot of different colors, you've got a solid background, choose the background first and invert the solution. So we choose the solid background, select, invert. Now we have our laser beam. Let's go to Edit, Copy Visible. Remember, it's over 2 layers now. Control-C will not work. Let's go back to our very original picture, cannon and cow. Control-V, and we have a laser beam. We'll adjust that later. We just want to get it there in the first place. We'll go back to our original picture here, to the picture where we made the laser. We're going to go ahead and hide these 2 layers. Control-Shift-A to get rid of the selection. We don't need that anymore. Then we're going to go to the topmost layer. We're going to make a new layer. This one we'll call Lightning. It's going to be a normal mode layer. If you forget to change it and click OK, all you got to do is go right here. Okay, we're going to change our colors back to black and white. Don't ask me why. What we do next to make lightning doesn't work with anything else in black and white. You want to click and hold down the paint bucket icon there, the bucket fill, and choose gradient. There's lots of gradient settings. We're not going to change any of them. Pretty much we need one black and white gradient going from one side to the other, and that's it. So click and drag to make the gradient. Now to make the lightning come out, we want to go to Filter, so Filters again. We're going to choose Render, Noise, and use something called Difference Clouds. This is one of the things that's lovely about this assignment because you don't know what you're going to get here. Depends on where you started and stopped your gradient. This is wide open. It can look like anything right now. And I got something there. Next, we'll go to let's go to Colors, and we're going to choose Invert. Is that there? Sorry. Yeah, Colors and Invert. Now you're starting to see a lightning bolt. Lightning bolts aren't those nice, even things you usually see. You watch it come down, they can look like this. So definitely we're going to go with this. Now we want to go also under Colors to Levels. We want to try and bring it out a little better and not have so much plasma around it. Under Levels, that's where you have these little slider bars across the bottom here. We're going to do that to cut down the amount of plasma to give ourselves maybe a slightly less crazy looking lightning bolt. And you can move all three sliders to when you are happy. In the end, this is your project. You need to be the one that is happy with it. I think that's going to work. I'll click OK. Next thing to do, we're going to add another color layer over it. So we want to go to Add Layer down here, bottom left on the Layers panel. That's going to be Lightning Color. And again, it's going to be an overlay layer. I'll again change the foreground color. This time I want to choose a shade of yellow. I like that bright one there, the swatches. Edit, Fill. Now we're getting something. Again, you're going to want to use Fuzzy Select on the lightning layer to select the background. Hold down Shift to get all the different areas you're not going to want. And then go to Select Invert and Edit Copy Visible. Go back over to here. And we'll name that Lightning. Note that you could just double click on the name of the file when it's a pseudo file or pseudo layer. Just double click on the name, it will make it a real layer when you name it. First, I'll go ahead and place the lightning. So I'm going to need to rotate it upside down. Something like that. Then I'll use the Scale command to move it and put it in position. Scale, there we are. We'll move it back here. And the Piper's Barn is probably facing some serious problems right at the moment. Enter. Okay, our lightning is placed. Next, let's play with the laser before we start bringing in our gun crew. Laser, we'll go ahead and go to Scale again. It's going to be very similar to what we did before. Make sure that they're not proportional. Make sure that chain link is unhooked, because that will allow you to resize it and try to get it in a position where you know it's going to work. So there, that looks okay to start out with. I can then go to rotate to flip, or go to flip because it's facing the wrong way. Rotate to get it to look right. Don't know if I got that rotation right. I think I did. Yeah, now I just got to play with scale. Scale. And we have turned this old brass Napoleon into a modern laser weapon. Okay, so that's all set. We are now going to start bringing our gun crew in. First one will be Patrick. Again, I use fuzzy select to grab the outside and invert the selection. Now you can press Control C, it's only on one layer. Here, Control V. Okay. Double click on it, we're going to name this Private Patrick. Patrick, of course, is facing the wrong way. While that might be a typical spot for him, Patrick is going to be flying off this cannon. We'll go to flip, there. We'll go to rotate, rotate Patrick back ever so slightly like that. Move, we're going to move him so he was sitting on the cannon. And we're also going to move him off a little bit because we're going to have some fun here, add a motion blur, have Patrick realizing that sitting in the cannon is a bad idea, especially when it's being fired. So Patrick, we've got started there. Let's bring in Private Spongebob. Control A, Control C will do it because there is no background. Control C, over to Cannon and Cow. Control V. Private Spongebob. Spongebob, like Patrick, is facing the wrong way, so we're going to have to flip him. And I'll play with the scale a little bit, make him a little bigger. Not much bigger, though. And put him down on the ground, sitting next to the cow. Last, we have the only hard selections you're going to have to do here. That is going to be the officer commanding this gun battery, Captain Whiskers. We'll do the scissors tool and click all the way around him. Nice, careful, as close to him as you can. The face on this cat is so hilarious. All that food just gone, all gone immediately. I'm going to grab his right arm as well and bring that in. Control C, over to here, and Control V. Captain Whiskers. Okay, Captain Whiskers is a little big for what we have now, so we'll shrink him down a bit. He obviously needs to be rotated, so we'll rotate him into position. And because we only have part of his body, we need to disguise that fact. While we're going to disguise that fact, we're going to hide him behind a rock. So let's move Captain Whiskers over here. We're then going to go down to our base cannon and cow layer, and we're going to grab a rock. Use scissors to select one of the rocks down here. You don't have to grab the whole thing, just enough to make a little boulder that we can put Captain Whiskers behind. Because Captain Whiskers, sadly, is a coward. Control C, Control V, rock. Let's move the rock right under Captain Whiskers right there. We'll move it into position. And I think we got it. Not too bad. As you can see, this is getting sillier and sillier by the moment. Next thing we got to do, we have to give these men their hats, their uniforms. They're only going to be wearing hats, though, because after all, that's just the way they are. So we'll go over to our web browser. On the search bar up here, we're going to type Union Kepi, K-E-P-I. Yes, I prefer you keep this with the Union. After all, they aren't the ones owning slaves and fighting to keep slaves. If you really want to fight this with a guy who's been studying the Civil War twice as long as you've been alive, bring it on. You want to go to images and find one that you know will copy. Frankly, that fourth one there I think is going to work. right there. That's going to work for what we want. We can right click on the image here, choose copy. And we can paste it directly in here. Let's go to Spongebob first, Control V. Spongebob Kepi. Duplicate that layer. Rename it Patrick Kepi. Use backspace and you should keep that word in there, not have to worry about typing it again. Duplicate the layer. One more time, we're going to move this way down to the bottom here because this is going to be Private Calf's Kepi. All right. So that's all set. Now we can go through. We'll do Private Calf's one first. So we're going to zoom in a bit. Again, you can hit plus or use that little magnifying glass to get in there. Okay, so we use fuzzy select to get rid of the background here. It's solid white. We just press delete. And if it fights you, just duplicate it. We'll see if we can do it there. Okay, this worked on my test yesterday. If it fights you on this, just load it into its own file, delete the background, and move it into place. This one, though, what we gotta do, we're gonna flip it to new layer, and we'll merge. Oh, I know why I can't see it. Everything's still visible. So I'm gonna actually dump that layer. All the Kepis right now are kind of stacked on each other, so we want to try and hide that so we can work on it. Private Calf's Kepi, we'll move this out of the way. Oh, I see the problem. Okay, there's Private Calf's Kepi. That's it, Spongebob down where it belongs. Okay, there it is. Okay, so you see it's backwards. Let's flip it. And then scale it to size. I'm going to not unite the... All right, that one's done. Next, we'll go to Spongebob Kepi. Again, I gotta move Spongebob out of the way. That's Patrick sitting there. Actually, the Spongebob one lost. I'll have to duplicate this one. Duplicate layer. Sorry for the delay. I didn't realize this would go terribly wrong, but I made a big old mistake there. Again, we'll dump the white. Flip it, and then resize it for Spongebob. Oh, I still have a selection. That's what's fighting me at the moment. Spongebob, I had to move over because of those hats. Let's move him in the right position here. Actually, we got to move him under the hat. We'll scale the hat down a little bit, and we got that all right. Your goal really is to try to make these believable, as believable as this insane situation is. Last, we'll work on Patrick. Patrick Kepi. Dump that background. Flip it. Patrick, we have to move this up to his head, be on his head. So let's go ahead and move it up here. Excuse me, then let's scale it downward. And again, this one I probably don't want united scale. I want it separate. Look it to there and put it on his head, and we got it. Okay, this is part 1. I'm going to finish up part 2 where we bring in Captain Whisker's hat and make Patrick behind the wheel of the cannon instead of in front of it, and then age this picture significantly. Thank you. I'll see you soon.